Hello and welcome back to the Macca's Talk Hockey Podcast, the podcast where me and my brother talk about English ice hockey, specifically the NIHL. Week 3 is in the books, it is completed, and we've got a special guest actually, our first player of the 24-25 season, Shaun Miller, come on for an interview from the Raiders, and he's had a very hot start for them as well. He's their top point scorer. Before we get into it though, Dan, you all right? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Thank you.
Went to a different game on Sunday, so I'm sure you can tell us a bit about that one.
Yeah,
Arguably
thought
the
I'd switch
best
it up a
game
little
of the
bit.
weekend.
I picked my games correctly, you see. I
Yeah,
knew that was going to happen. That's why I went.
you didn't take the slog to Peterborough with us. Charlie, you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm good. It's our dad's birthday today,
Yeah,
um, and I cooked him a homemade cake.
yeah, it
It's,
looked
it's a
very interesting.
masterpiece. You need to get me on Great British Bake Off ASAP because I'd cook that show.
Oh dear. But yeah, happy birthday, Dad. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's get on to the hockey, which is more important. So the NIHL week 3. Actually, there was only one bit of news. There's only one bit of news we could think of, and it links back to what we said last week because Malazinski did get a ban, a 3-game ban. Charlie, he is currently the dirtiest player in the league, according to penalty minutes. So it and
He,
it's
he
one of
set his
them.
record.
He's not
That's what my
intended to
my
do
bloke do.
anything. He's not intended to do anything bad. It's just a hit which was quite high. And he's got given a 3-game ban. And we had Leeds and Peterborough this weekend, so not ideal for him to be out for that. But you have to move on. You have to go with it. Hello, welcome back. We've got a very special guest on the podcast. Charlie, do you want to introduce him?
Yes, we've got a very special 25-year-old who's just made the trip from over Canada. He's come from a league we're all familiar with in the U Sport, scoring nearly a point a game there. And now he's come into our league and started this season off hot. We'd like to welcome onto the podcast, Shaun Miller. How are we doing?
Yeah, doing great, gentlemen. I'm enjoying my time here in the greater area of London and England. So I'm excited to be on the podcast and chat a little bit about what the what this year brings and what I can expect from other teams. Hopefully, get some insider information from you guys.
How have you settled in? Obviously, we mentioned off recording, it's a bit rainy here in England.
Yeah, no, it's been really good, honestly. This team and organization has taken such good care of myself and Andrew Schufeld, who's another import who comes from the same area of Canada as me, and then also my girlfriend. So they've done everything that they could possibly do to let us settle in and comfortably and make sure that we're taken care of. So it's been a real breeze, actually.
Nice one. And do you want to just talk to us? How did the move come about? Because it was quite a lot of change for Romford in the off season. A lot of their Brit players moved on. Obviously, the coach moved on as well, and Leish got made their the player coach of the team. So, how did the move come about with you coming over to England and signing for Romford?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, at the end of my season last year, I was in Cincinnati. Ended up getting traded to Tulsa, Oklahoma,
Mhm.
and just there was some complications with myself finishing my education. So I wasn't. I liked it in Cincinnati, and I liked the league itself, but I knew I wanted something different.
Mm.
So that's when this summer I kind of stuck my head into the world overseas and started looking around to see what fit what I was looking for personally best, and kind of Romford was the one that stuck out most to me. It was a place where we could come, myself and my girlfriend, and come live a comfortable and good life, but also play in a pretty good hockey league. So we were both very excited to come to. Of course, we're only about 30 minutes away from London, so it's an
Yeah.
exciting place to have some free time away from the hockey games and be able to see so many different things. So
Yeah, nice
we've
one.
been enjoying our time, but looking for something different. Yeah.
Go on, Charlie.
Mhm. And how did you get into hockey? Obviously, Canada's a bit different with hockey than the UK.
Yeah, I think I mean it was basically just everybody got
Yeah.
into hockey one way or another. My grandfather was a professional for 14 years in North America, and then my father was a player. Never ended up playing professionally, and then I have an older brother who's 2 years older than me. He was going to the rink before I was able to play, so I was just drugged to the rink and running around with broken hockey sticks or whatever it was. So I've been in the rink since I was 4 years old, and I still somehow never left.
Um, we've seen quite a few players in our league or imports playing the QMJHL. Do you want to talk us through what that league is? Because it's kind of the step before you go to the U Sports.
Yeah. So I think the Quebec Major Junior League, which is part of the Canadian Hockey League with the Western Hockey League and the
Yeah.
Ontario Hockey League, is a super competitive and exciting league. There's a lot of high end talent who goes through it, and obviously a lot of guys move on to the pro ranks in North America, whether that be in
Yeah.
the AHL or NHL. And then the next step after that is moving. So after your 20-year-old season, you kind of make a decision on whether you want to pursue professional hockey or you want
Yeah.
to pursue furthering your education. And I think for myself, it was a no-brainer where I have no doubt in my mind that I was never going to make $1 million playing this game. So I thought it was best for me to go get my education and make sure that I have something to fall back on when this all comes to an end. So that was the next move. So it was a great feeder league and put me in a position where I could get a good education and further
Yeah.
my personal goals.
Nice one.
Mhm.
Go on, Charlie.
It seems like you had some fun in the U Sports. This year we had quite a few U Sports players come into the league who were around a
Yeah.
point a game in the U Sports. What was your role like in the U Sports, and how did you find it?
Yeah, I think U Sports is another great league, and it's just it's one of those leagues that doesn't get enough attention for what it is,
Yeah.
and I think it's just because the hockey market in Canada is so big, but the league itself gives players like myself the opportunity to continue playing hockey and also provide themselves with an education. So it was really good. Obviously, you're at a school for 4 years. You don't have to worry about being traded. You don't have to worry about being released or anything along those lines. So it's a fun 4 years. It's a very comfortable 4 years. But there's a lot of hard work that goes into playing for a high end hockey team and also trying to complete all of your courses and in school. So, and juggle a personal life as well, some say. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun and I wouldn't change those 4 years for anything.
As Charlie said, this season we've seen a lot of imports, top end imports like yourself, with nearly a point per game in the U Sports. And we, like a couple seasons ago, the league teams would be signing players who got maybe half a point a game. What is the actual league like? Is it a bit more defensive than the league over in Britain? Because it seems like there's less points in it.
Yeah, no, I think it's so. I mean, you see coming out of major junior, you have the guys who are the first, second, third round NHL draft picks, and that's
Yeah,
who's running your power play, and that those are the guys in major junior in the Quebec League that are producing all those points. You see 100-point seasons, and then there's kind of like that second tier
yeah,
of
yeah,
guys, which a lot of us would fall into, where it's like, yeah, we still can play hockey at a high level, but
yeah,
are we that talented into the category of being drafted to the NHL? And a lot of those guys understand that and they feed into the U Sports system. So it's a bunch of very good hockey players, very structurally sound, and the systems are obviously very very complete. So it is more of a defensive league than you would see, and I think you see that sometimes in university sports or university hockey in the States as well. It's a bit low scoring games.
yeah,
We play only in major junior playing 58 or 62 games. It's up there. So you're practicing less and you're playing more. When
yeah.
you're playing in the U Sports leagues, you're practicing more throughout the week and you're playing. So everybody's very structurally sound. So it is a tough league to play in, but it's so much fun.
That's a good point, actually. And it must be quite cool going back to playing double or even triple the amount of games you were playing in U Sports. Did you always have a plan? I know you mentioned it a bit, but did you always have a plan to come over and play in England one day?
Yeah, so I didn't know exactly where it would be. I always said, I mean, once reality kicked in, and I understood that it wasn't going to be my lifetime job to play in the NHL, which happened pretty early. I always said that no matter where my career took me, I wanted to come overseas for at least a year or two,
Yeah,
and just kind of capitalize on the opportunity that I've created for myself. And
mm,
when I started looking this summer, there was a few different leagues in a few different countries, and then, like I said, it just stuck out to myself and my family that Romford was going to be the best place for me to go, and the best place for me to have a good hockey experience, but also a good life experience. So I was super excited to come over
Had you ever been over? Have you
here.
ever been over to England before or London?
No, actually, this
Oh
was my
wow.
first time. So, I mean, we're wide-eyed and looking around at everything we're taking every day and seeing something new. So we're having a great time.
Mhm. Have you had any highlight places you've been to yet? Apart from the
Uh,
golf course?
I mean, the golf course is always my highlight, but yeah, no. I mean, we've been into Central London a few times, and it's just, I mean, there's so much to do, and I couldn't even tell you how much of it I've seen because every street is so different. There's so much going on, and she's loving the markets and all the different things down there. So I usually just put my head down and follow.
have,
Yeah,
um, have you managed to get
hypercredit
to any
card.
of the English restaurants and Nando's or I saw a video the other day. It was a Canadian coming over and being shocked at how we do meal deals, like three for £3 or something like
Yeah, no, that's a great deal. We don't see that at home.
that.
The grocery stores always have those meal deals, and we live with me and Andrew Schufelt and Aiden Wilson live together. So watching Aiden eat is unbelievable. So he's always into the meal deals or into the he buys the Nando's chicken and cooks it in the oven. So I haven't been there yet, but
Oh, you need
I've
to
I've
go.
kind
It's
of lived
expensive.
vicariously through him.
Go on, Charlie.
And you've got the Christmas markets coming up, so
Oh,
have a good time with that in London. You're definitely in a good location. How
Yeah,
have you found the Romford culture, as you could call it? You're in a team full of Romford lads, like they are just
yeah,
Romford boys.
yeah.
I bet that dressing room's fun.
It is. Yeah, you know what? It is arguably no. I would say probably the most fun dressing room that I've been in. I mean, especially at this point in the season, we're 5 games in,
yeah,
and everybody's so comfortable. There's no cliques developed. I mean, there's no outsiders. Everybody's kind of in one big group,
yeah,
and I think that's also part of our early success here is that guys are really just pushing for each other. There's not really any individualism going on. There's no cliques. There's no none of those developments that you can see quite often in hockey teams.
yeah.
So it's been so much fun, and there's so many characters, like you said, guys like TJ and Jakey. There's all time funny guys. So
What was your first reactions coming in then? Because I know you said it kind of were better than your expectation was, but what was kind of your expectations before you come over?
yeah, so I kind of I didn't have many expectations just because I didn't have very much information
Yeah,
on what the league was like and I mean being from Canada as well and when you start looking at leagues over here and in Europe in general, you start to realize there's so many leagues and there's
yeah,
so many teams and there's so many different playing styles and coaching styles. So you kind of get flooded with so much information and you don't really at the end of the day know exactly what you're going into. But my expectations were to play in a good hockey league, and then that's what I found.
nice one.
Mhm.
Go on, Charlie.
Yeah, and your pre-season games, I believe, were I know one was Invicta. Who was the other team you played?
Peterborough.
Invicta, and we played Peterborough.
Yeah,
Whoa, that was a nice welcome into the league, going to Peterborough away.
yeah.
Yeah,
How have you found the rinks? Because you've been to kind of different rinks. You've got Peterborough, which is well not so great, and then you've got Milton Keynes, which is just 2,000 people.
yeah, no, MK because MK was a beautiful rink, and their fans were passionate, and it was pretty electric in there. It was a bit of a tough game. I think the Olympic size ice jumped us in the first period, and we weren't necessarily ready for it.
They were
After
unbeaten there, bar one game last season. They won
Yeah,
26 out of 27. It's so hard to play there.
yeah, I think it's pretty typical too, as well as I mean, they scored 3 goals in the first 10 minutes, maybe, and it was just like we were on our heels and the big ice. But after we settled in, it was great. And then, yeah, Peterborough's. I'm not going to sit here and say it was the best rink I've ever played in, but it was also far from the worst. I know, obviously, the ice. It was a warmer day there, and the ice wasn't great, but I mean, both teams were playing on the same sheet, so it can't be that bad. My excuses don't really hold up.
And
Yeah.
Romford, is probably mine and Charlie's one of our least favorite places to go to because of how intimidating it is. It's a lovely place, there's nice people, but how's it playing in Romford? It's just so loud in there.
Yeah, no, it's so much fun to play there, and like I said, numbers wise, it's not the highest number I've seen in, fans, and not the highest number the league's seen in fans, but somehow the culture of the fan base here and the people around the rink is just unbelievable, and they're so passionate about the players and the team itself, and they really want to. They're loud and they're in their other team's face and everything, but at the end of the day, they're all super good people, and they all really want to have your back. So, I mean, I'm super grateful for all of them, and you know what, if we need help and they want to scream at the other players, go for it.
Part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you settled into the league really well in your points wise of the game. You've got 10 points in 5 games so far. It's very early on, but how have you found being that go-to guy? I'd say you were, especially this weekend with Andrew out. You were a guy who was relied on. And how's that been?
Yeah, I think I've dealt with that in the past years. I mean, it's just kind of my play style is a 200-foot game, but a little bit more shaped off the offensive side as of lately for the last probably 5 or 6 years. So I don't mind the pressure at all. I think it's been a bit of a struggle at the start of the year. It hasn't been my best hockey, and pucks definitely aren't going in the net. But we're creating opportunities and momentum, and whether it's me putting in the net or somebody else, it's a goal for Romford, and then that's all we're pushing for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's been a good start at home for Romford. You've had 2 comeback wins. Saturday, do you want to talk about Sunday? Because you're playing one of the best offensive teams we've seen in this league. Some of the firepower they've got is ridiculous. But you were 4-2 down, I believe. You got it back to 4-4, won it in overtime. Just talk us through the emotions of that game, because we knew it was going to be the best game coming into the weekend, and it certainly was.
Yeah, no, it was the emotion is the right way to put that game. There was a lot of emotion on the line. I mean, it was a gritty game, a lot of penalties called, but a lot of deserving penalties. And I think honestly, the referees did a pretty good job at handling the game. Maybe there was a few butchered calls, but there was also some missed calls as well. So um, it was a very heated game, and the fans were into it, but. Um, Coming back and winning at home again after the weekend before as well was super exciting, and we were just having so much fun with it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's early on in the season, and these games, although they don't mean nothing, they're not big placement games, and it's nice to see that everybody comes with such emotion and wants to win so bad. So we had a lot of fun, and we were happy to come back and watch Moore score that goal in overtime. We were so excited.
Have you been on a team where has been a two-way system with another team? Because I think this is probably quite new to you, that you can have players play in the league below and the league above. But Seb Moore, he is so talented.
Yeah, no, I've never been in a situation where that's gone on. I've obviously been on teams where we've had affiliate players, and
Yeah.
if we're traveling into towns, maybe they'll play if we're on injuries. But yeah, no, you know what, all of our two ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and name all of them, but all those guys since I've showed up they come to the rink on practice days. They do their jobs. They go on the ice. They compete. They try hard. They don't talk back. And it's great to see a lot of them succeeding at their own level, and then when they come up with us, they're succeeding as well. And like you said, the Seb Moore and his brother Christian are both unbelievable, and I love those kids so much.
Mm-hmm.
Go on, Charlie.
One of the players I wanted to ask about, because he is an absolute cannonball, is Tomlin. He is an absolute madman.
Yeah.
Who is he's a very unique style of player for his age, but I'd say he plays what I'd call Romford hockey. How's he like?
Yeah, no, he's a great kid as well. I mean, he's another kid who comes to the rink, he puts his nose down and he grinds it out. So he's done a great job penalty kill wise, chipping in offensively, and his 5-on-5 game is so well structured. And honestly, he's a young kid with a cage on, but he's a presence on the ice.
Yeah.
He's physical. He wins his battles. He's tough off face-off. So I mean, he's a kid that anybody would say you'd love to have him on your team, but you'd hate to play against him.
Obviously, it's quite early into the season, but how have you found playing under Leish? Obviously, I don't know if you've had a player coach before, but we have quite a few of them in England. But how have you found playing under Leish? Because he is one of the most skilled players we've had in this league for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've never played under a player coach, it's definitely a different dynamic.
Yeah.
Having your coach playing as well on the ice and going out for shifts, which is very different to me. But he's done a magnificent job, as you guys can see. I mean, he's him alongside the directors have pulled this team from a
Yeah.
dark place into a promising place right now, and a bright future. So everybody's on board with what he has to say, and there's a lot of respect in the room for him. So
Yeah.
it's been going well, and he's done nothing but to give the players respect, and that's what's returned for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what we do as a podcast, we've really appreciated Romford. One of your directors, I'm just trying to get up his name. My memory's pretty bad.
All the fans are so nice in Romford.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are.
they're all great people.
When you actually get, obviously during the game, it can be quite heated and they can get under your skin. But when you're actually talking to them, they're really, really nice.
Paul
Have you managed
Davies.
to have some chats
Paul
with
Davies is the one.
some of the fans?
Yeah, no, the fans are great. I mean, I know. So for my girlfriend, she's been invited out to dinner 10 different times, and she's going out with TJ's family next week. So it's just, I mean, people here want everybody to be comfortable and want everybody to have a good time. So they're everybody around the rink is chipping in and making sure that this team is pushed forward and moving towards the new era.
Yeah,
Did you
you've
know?
got the face of the national hockey as well. You've
Oh
got
yeah,
Andrew Day as your Twitter man. We love
Yes, yeah,
Andrew.
he's
We love
always around the rink. Yeah, yeah.
We love Andrew.
I
We've
heard you
actually.
mention Paul Davies there. What were you saying about Paul?
Yeah, Paul Davies. He messaged us. He listened to the podcast.
Yeah,
And he actually gave me tickets to one of the games. He's a really nice guy. I love him. We had a good
yeah,
chat with him about how kind of the move came about as well.
yeah. He's a fantastic guy. I think I'm actually headed out tomorrow morning. We're gonna take a drive out to his area, and we're gonna sit down for some lunch. So
Oh,
look
nice.
excited. Yeah, maybe a little date. Yeah,
You said you did you know Andrew before you come over to Romford?
yeah. So I've known Andrew for a while now.
Yeah.
It wasn't a move that we both knew we were making. It kind of just
Really?
so he played for my school as well for my first year, which was the COVID season.
Yeah.
He was on the team, so we never actually played games together, but we were on the
Oh, yeah,
same
because
team
of
and we were
COVID.
practicing together. And then he moved on, and I spent the next 3 seasons with the club.
Yeah.
But also, it's just we come from Canada, which is a big hockey market, but we come from the east coast of Canada and Nova Scotia, so it's kind of a smaller little hub of players. So a lot of times in the summers, the pro skates are guys who are all combined together. So we've skated together for quite a while now, and he's just a
Yeah.
fantastic guy and well equipped hockey player as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he doesn't mind throwing his body around.
Yeah, he
No,
doesn't mind
yeah,
it at all. How who's like your best mate then in the, or not best mate, but who have you got on well with really in the team?
yeah. I honestly, like I said, there's zero clicks. So it is every guy is just as close with the guy beside him, and he is the guy across the room. So I mean, the one that sticks out the most would be Aiden Wilson, which obviously I've been living with him for the past month, and he's just such a unique character. I still can barely understand anything he says with his accent, but he's just a unique guy, and he's so much fun to be around. I mean, myself and Andrew and my girlfriend just love living with him.
Are you the
He's come over
babysitters,
then.
or is he the one babysitting you?
Yeah, there's a bit of babysitting going on, but I'll do it for the youngster. He's a great little kid, and so talented on the ice as well. And it's fun to watch, and a different kind of game style, and a different kind of kid. But he's so much fun to be around, so much fun to watch on the ice as well. I think the future is very bright for him within the hockey world.
I think that's the main thing. I know you guys have had a really good start, but you've got quite a good mix of some players who've been around for ages, as Charlie said, some Romford boys, but then you've got some new players like Aiden who's getting that opportunity this season.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of guys who are maintaining what they've built in this league, and there's also a lot of guys who are hungry to prove themselves.
Yeah.
And we've been seeing that with, like we talked about, the two-way guys and guys like Aiden who are younger guys and have proved to the league that they should be here, but haven't really flourished yet. So they're knocking at the door, and they're ready to bust through the seams at any moment.
Yeah.
And
Go on,
and, and
Charlie.
on a personal and team note, what would you say your personal goals are, and then what would you say your team goals are? Because they're kind of two different things.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, yeah, it's tough to set, I mean, identical personal goals. I think my personal goals for this year is to obviously have success and put up numbers for the team, be committed on the defensive side of the puck, and also just be a leader within the dressing room and in the organization as well. So, I think that all comes together in kind of one side of thing, and another goal is just to kind of enjoy myself as much as I possibly can, because I don't know if there's 5 more hockey years left in my career. So I want to make sure that every day that I'm over here, I have a lot of fun. And then team goals, I think, obviously, win the play. Like, win whatever we can possibly win.
Yeah.
Push forward, and I think we'd be kidding ourselves to set our goals any lower than to make the playoffs and put a strong push on. So I think the start of our season has been good, and it's given us hope and faith to think that we are contenders and we're going to compete in this league. So,
And it's been a good start in the cup as well. Actually, you guys have got those wins against Peterborough. Sorry, not Peterborough, Swindon, Hull. Who was
Don't
the
know if
other
the
one you
whole was a
beat?
cup game,
Bristol you
but
beat as well.
you've got some
right.
cup game wins, yeah.
Yeah, so those I mean, if I'm being completely honest with you, that's not how hockey works back in Canada, and I have been trying to wrap my head around what's a cup game. I got
Oh,
handed a
we do
trophy.
too. They
I got
don't have
handed a
them as like
trophy
the
in the
first
second
game of
week.
each
Yeah,
team.
it didn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to wrap my head around it soon. But as of right now, I've got no clue what's going on. I'm just
just
looking
wait
at
till
standings and
playoffs.
hoping that we win playoffs. Yeah,
Do you know what the playoff system is come end of the
I
season?
I do not actually.
So it's two. So the top eight, two groups of four, and you play each team in that group twice, home and away, and the top two in each group go to Coventry. You're going to find it so cool, I reckon.
Okay, and
It's
then
not American Canada
No,
playoffs.
no, it's so different. And then
It's very
Coventry's
different.
tournament style.
Yeah,
Coventry is both semi-finals on the Saturday and then the final on the Sunday.
Oh,
yeah, it's
okay.
like tournament.
Okay. Yeah, that's
It's a
exciting.
great
That's an exciting
weekend
style. Yeah, that's an exciting style.
because at Coventry you have each block is a different fan base, so you get all the fans, not just the fans of the two teams there. So you'll have Romford fans, Swindon, Telford, Leeds, everyone. It's going to be so cool. It's the best
I don't
weekend
know
of
if
the
that scares
season.
me or excites me.
I've got a little flash question for you. Who's
Okay.
the best player you've ever played with, and who's the best player you've ever played against?
The best player I've ever played with. Oh, wow. That's tough. You know what? If I was to say, talent wise in his position in the given time that I was playing with him would be Samuel Montembeault. I played with him for
Oh, okay.
2.5 years, and
The
he's the
goalie, right?
starter.
The
He's
goalie
the
from
starter for
Montreal, isn't he?
the
Yeah.
Montreal this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he at that time was, I mean, the best goalie in the Canadian Hockey League and
Really.
3 leagues wide, and so talented. And it was very nice to have in your net, but also so frustrating to go to practice and score 1 goal every 3 weeks. So, um, and then I say the best player I've ever played against, and there's been a lot of really, really good hockey players to come out of those leagues and out of competition that I've played against, and a lot of NHL stars. But the best I've ever played against was Lafreniere from New York. Yeah, the
Really.
Rangers.
He did well last season.
He was above and beyond anything that I've ever seen capable of a hockey stick doing when we were playing junior hockey. So I know one game in the playoffs, I was set to shadow him for a game, and I think he had 5 points and a hat trick. So there's nothing I could do. I maybe 3 slashing penalties and 2 hookings, and he still put up 5 points. So he was outstanding.
Yeah, there's a reason you weren't first overall pick. Have you got an NHL team?
You know what? I've never had an NHL team. I don't watch a whole lot of NHL hockey. I used to tell people it was a Columbus Blue Jackets as an out, and then people started buying me Blue Jacket stuff, and I never wore it. So, yeah. But obviously, whenever a Canadian team is in playoffs, I cheer for them
Hopefully the
just to jump on
Oilers.
the wagon. Yeah, exactly.
Oilers this season.
I'll ride with pretty much any Canadian team.
Oh, okay.
How have you found it? I've always wanted to know. Obviously, being a new import, not really knowing any of the teams, any of the players, how have you found it coming up against really different teams, different players, and obviously Milton Keynes, you've got some characters in there as well.
Yeah, no, it's different. I mean, anytime you go into a new league, especially when you're moving across the pond and coming into an area where you don't know everybody. You don't know who you're going to get nightly on a matchup. You don't know what kind of lines you're looking at. So it's different, but at the end of the day, when you drop the puck, it's hockey. So it's been a bit of an adjustment and a different kind of league, but it's been fun, and I think the start has been good, but we'll start to figure out who we're playing against and exactly what the other teams have shaped up as the season goes on.
Yeah, once you play
We'll
every
definitely
team. Go on, Charlie. You got any others?
build some rivalries together. Do
Yeah.
you understand all the chirps, or does some of it just go through you?
You know what? I don't even. 99% of the time people are chirping at me. I don't even take in half of it. I mean, I get a couple of chirps about my nose, but that might bother me a bit. But anything other than that doesn't shake me at all. So I just kind of let it bounce off my shoulder and walk away from it. I've never been one to chirp really at all. Try to let my playing do the talking, but that's
I was going to say that.
Do you know my game style?
Do you know any other imports in the league, or is it just everyone's new?
Yeah, so I know from the Leeds guys. So Noah McMullen,
Everyone knows Noah.
I played with McMullen when I was in Bantam. So he's from just a community over from me as well in Nova Scotia.
Yeah,
and he's a great kid, super talented defenseman. And then Matt Barron, also on the Leeds team, is my cousin. So he's
really
it's a close relationship there. Yeah, he's so he'd be I want to say he's my third cousin, but obviously we've always played. He's the same age as me, and we grew up playing hockey in the same province, so we played against each other quite a bit.
Well, bookmarking that game against Leeds then.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a little
Charlie, you got any more?
Yeah, wow, it's been a good interview. Are you just excited to get going every weekend? Is it weird only playing on the weekends? Because I know in some juniors they play Fridays or Thursdays.
Yeah, so I mean it's not abnormal for me now, because coming out of the U Sports League, playing on weekends is pretty normal, because usually throughout the week you're doing your schooling. So they try to keep the games to a minimum on weekdays, and then we would play Friday and Saturday and have Sundays off most weeks. So I mean, shift it one day forward, and it's not that much of a difference to me. The only tough thing is that there's the Sunday games. I don't get to watch the NFL, but
Okay.
I can go on with that.
You can catch them on the team bus on the way back.
Yeah, exactly.
Go on, Charlie. You always end with this question.
What is your message to the loud Romford Raiders fans?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm just super grateful for all of you guys showing up to the rink every day with so much passion, especially with a team where there's a lot of unknowns, and just your commitment to supporting us in any way, shape, and form. But it's been a pleasure to meet a lot of you, and I can't wait to see you back at the Sapphire with that loud, aggressive attitude again here on Sunday.
Shaun, thank you very much for hopping on. You've had a great start to the season, and we're looking forward to seeing how you do the rest of the season.
Yes, thank you very much for having me on, gentlemen. I've had a great time, and hopefully we'll see you guys around the rink in Coventry.
Yeah, we'll see you when you come to Swindon as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice one, thanks, mate. And the first game of the weekend actually starts with Swindon versus Leeds. Now, going into this game, I'm going to put my hands up. All right, my hands are up. I did think Leeds would win this game. With the firepower they've got, how they've been rolling the start of the season. Us without Malazinski, our best defensive forward, probably our best player as well. I did think we were up against it, but the lads put in an absolutely brilliant performance. Charlie, we'll start with you. How good was that? I know you're positive. You said Swindon would win. You're always positive, but we were flipping good on Saturday night, weren't we?
Well, I think the main thing I've noticed this year is we seem to be playing better at home. We really do seem like when we're at home, we're dominant. We've seen in the other games, and obviously Leeds was our first big test, I'd say. Nothing against the other teams, but the other teams will probably teams which will finish kind of seventh, sixth, and below. Whereas Leeds we're league champs. They are the test, and we're testing it without our best player. But we are good at home, man. We shoot well at home. We're physical at home, and I thought we really stepped up our physical game against Leeds. We made Leeds play a game they didn't want to play, and I thought we were really good at that. And yeah, it was just a really all-rounded team performance, which was capped off for me by the fact that our third line scored 3 out of 5 goals.
Yeah.
Well, 6, but I don't really count empty nets. So yeah, it capped off the performance, the fact that our third line was our best line. And yeah, it was just a proper team performance. And yeah, we did ourselves proud on that night. We really looked like the Link Centre's going to be a tough place to come to this year.
It was a really interesting game, wasn't it, Dan? Like tactically, because obviously we spread the lines out across the 3 lines. Bricknell went with Nell, and they haven't played together so far this season. And Leeds spread their lines out as well. But I actually think it kind of went in our favour because we were a bit bigger, we were a bit stronger. We used our physicality. The upgrade we've had on our D this season really showed in that game. I thought it was Wells. Wells is just class. Like, he's a step above, isn't he? We know that. But Pluzy, physicality wise, is a bit different to Wellesley. But using his physicality, I thought he had an absolutely unbelievable game. I can't think how long ago he's had as good a game as that. And as Charlie said, we were rewarded with some third line goals. And yeah, we were dominant against Leeds. Leeds had their spells, don't get me wrong. They're always going to have their spells in the game. But we outshot Leeds. We limited Leeds to just 30 shots on goal. And as Nell always says, in those big games, your goalie's got to be playing well. And Rennie had a really good game as well, didn't he, Dan?
Yeah, I think what it is, obviously, you went into that game and you look at Leeds' third line. Obviously, I know they're missing Endicott off that, but their third line's been the line that's really been standing out. Obviously, you know their top 6 is going to be unbelievable, but their third line is really showing something special. And I think you sort of went into the game and the top 6 sort of battled against each other and sort of cancelled each other out. And it was those third lines that really showed, like, really got that offense going. And obviously, having the physicality, like Charlie said, was really big. Leeds don't really like a physical game. They're more into the skilled game, sort of skating the puck in and being able to set up. But if you're keeping them wide along the boards, they don't really like that a lot. And I think, yeah, having that depth scoring is really big. Obviously, having Wellesley, obviously cancelling out the big guys. Obviously, you got the likes of Brown. You forced Leeds to obviously switch up the lines halfway through the game. Had to bring all the big boys onto the same line and stuff like that, just to sort of get that offense going. But I think by then, Swindon has sort of got that momentum to just sort of go into sort of like cruise control, if you know what I mean. Sort of everything was going right for them at that point. So it was sort of do the defensive stuff right and then go from there.
The first period I thought was quite even. Both teams just snuffing each other out, not really letting either team get towards the net, get those chances in the slot. The second period, though, was the game changer for Swindon. Really good play from Billing to kind of screen and put off Sam Gospel. And because Sam Gospel's only a small goalie, you just got to try and get in front of him, take his sight off the puck. Josh Shaw flicks one in, gets his first of the season. And then the last thing Leeds needed to do was put us on the power play. And Ed Bradley, I got to say, that is some snipe into the top corner. And then we scored that was a 5-on-3, and then we scored on the next power play because we still had one going. So we were very clinical on the power play. And then Leeds got back into it straight away in that third period. You knew they were going to come on to you. But Josh Shaw, Charlie, he needs a mention in this game. I know Rennie was really, really good, Pluzy, Wellesley, but Josh Shaw stepped up. He got his opportunity. We've talked about Josh getting that opportunity this weekend, and he showed that he's got a really good shot on him this weekend, and he's proven he is still there. He's one of those younger guys in the league who can do it.
Yeah, Josh Shaw's got a lot of talent. There's a reason he's been in pretty much every single GB squad, and it was just so nice to see him get the 2 goals he deserves. And I think the first goal gave him the confidence to shove the second one in the top corner. Like, if you watch the highlights, Josh Shaw last year, and I know he won't mind us saying, he probably got frustrated with his shooting. He had some chances and he couldn't quite get the goals last year. Yeah. But as soon as he scored that first goal, as soon as he kind of broke away, I just fancied him scoring a snipe, and he did. It was a really good snipe. And one thing I like about Josh is he loves to celly. So he did the money celly. What celly's that? Dan, you'll know.
Showtime.
Yeah, it's just like bring it on, isn't it?
Yeah, Showtime.
In our little now Classico, and he brought the celly, got the fans going, and yeah, it was just a great performance from him, and I'm excited to see what he does this year. And I know it sounds early, but if you want to win these titles and go on to win these leagues, you need third lines to step up in games where your top six doesn't score. That is what you need. Your top six can score so much, but in games you need your third line to step up, or even your 10th forward, which Josh Shaw sometimes is. And he did that, and he showed up. He brought the game, and yeah, he deserved that. And you could see how happy the team was for him at the end of the game as well.
And then we got a shout out as well quickly. Luke Johnson, an absolute snipe in the third period. It was great work by Bully. Bully always turns up like to his top level against Leeds, and he loves playing against Leeds. Just absolutely barges Fugalis and Griffin out the way. Puts it to Luke Johnson. He snipes it. You called it the Ovi snipe, Charlie. He actually had that in the first period, didn't he? And then he scored that chance in the third. So yeah, really good game for the Wildcats. So proud of the boys for getting that done without Tom Ash as well, who is our best defensive forward. So yeah, the boys really stuck in for that game. The sixth goal was very offside. The empty net, but we were going to win anyway. There's only about 30 seconds to go. Milton Keynes, they got a very big win. They didn't win there last season, but they won there this season 6-3 against the Berkshire Bees in Slough. And I think what we've been saying before the season, those are the games they could kind of trip up on the smaller rink stand. But Dylan Lawrence, shout out to him. We said that he struggled a bit last year in the smaller rinks. He gets 2 goals this weekend.
Yeah, it's obviously something they're gonna worked on in the off season. Like that's like a clear thing that sort of went wrong for MK last year. Sort of for any team going to that bees rink is really tough. So yeah, MK. I think obviously I didn't watch the game. I haven't actually looked at the highlights yet, so I can't really.
They're out yet.
Yeah, I can't really judge on what happened, but it seems like they're sort of, I don't know, obviously signing the import D and stuff like that. They're sort of trying to be a bit more secure in D in those smaller rinks where they could maybe sort of against the teams like Bs, they could be caught out because they sort of know that rink and they can sort of, you can sort of play around the boards and stuff like that. And you got obviously the different side neutral zones and all that. So I think, yeah, they're definitely working on that. And I think they're going to definitely want to pick up those wins against those lower end teams because in the end of the day, if you want to win stuff, you need to be winning those games as well.
Yeah, Ross Venus, 5 points on the night. He showed his class. He was the guy who stepped up along with some others as well, but a goal and 4 assists. So shout out to him. He got our player of the week actually because he had such a good weekend. Go on, Charlie.
And we've got a new rivalry starting. Archie Salisbury versus Will Stead.
Yeah.
They fought twice, and it's been about 5 weeks into the season. They seem to love a good fight, Archie Salisbury and Will Stead. I did think as soon as Archie took that cage off, the gloves were coming off a bit more as well, and he has shown that. Yeah, good fun there. I think we'll see Archie Salisbury dropping the gloves quite a few times this season.
He seems like he's going to be their enforcer. And hey, round 3, you've done it twice now. I remember back in the day, Bully used to do rounds with Galazzi, and they did, I think, every single game they had a fight. So round 3, Archie Salisbury and Will Stead coming soon. But it's a big win for Milton Keynes and confidence booster as well. Solway Sharks, an emphatic 9-3 win at home against a struggling Telford Tigers, it has to be said. And let's just say this, 9 different goal scorers, Dan, for Solway. That is some way to do it. Like, Martin Grubb must be buzzing. 9 different goal scorers. They had 2 short-handed goals in the same penalty kill. What is going on with Telford there? You cannot concede 2 short-handed goals on the same penalty kill. But there was also 6 goals in 5-on-5 as well. So a really, really good performance for Solway, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a bad game for Gardner. Obviously, he only got 1 goal, so obviously that's not really good enough from him because
three-point game though.
Yeah, only a 3 point game as well. That's not really that good either. Obviously he gets about 2 or 3 goals a game, so 1 goal isn't good enough.
He
Need
would
to
have
be better
enjoyed
next
that,
week.
though.
What's that?
He would have had a night off. He would have thought, I don't have to score him tonight.
Nah, he needs to be better next week because yeah, he keep up the standard. But yeah, having the 9 different goal scorers is big for a team. Like being able to get that depth scoring is so big. Like we said in the Leeds Swindon game,
Yeah.
just having and the fact that that's a new team, sort of they've got a lot of new youngsters in that team, and being able to sort of get them on a score sheet is going to be so big for confidence.
Yeah.
And I think from that game, I reckon they've obviously taken it by the scruff and sort of gone for it. And I think when they get that confidence, I think they just said, right, boys, we just need to keep going. Like, don't stop. Just keep that confidence building. And then you can sort of carry it over to games. So I think Solway, a game like that is perfect for them for building the confidence that they need to obviously carry it on.
Yeah,
And
I was
really
going to say,
positive performance from them.
yeah, I was going to say they're making a bit of a fortress at their home as well. They've got 5 out of 6 points at home. Sorry, not 5 out of 6 points. They lost against Leeds, didn't they? But they took Hull to overtime. They won their pre-season games, and they also won this one as well. As for Telford, we'll probably talk about them a bit more on the Sunday, but 27 shots, 9 conceded. And I know it's not just on the goaltender. The defence has got to help, especially on the short hands. But yeah, it's just not quite ticking at Telford at the moment. But we'll talk about them a bit on the Sunday game. The next game of the weekend was another big bounce back from the Steel Dogs. Again, 5-3 against the Phantoms. They beat the Phantoms 5-3 a couple weeks ago in the first weekend in Peterborough. And they've done it again. And it's that man again, Sam Tremblay, Charlie. He's slowly hotting up in the league. He's got a hat trick again. I know one of them was an empty net, but he is definitely becoming one of the stars of the league, like everyone thought he would do.
Yeah, it's fake hat trick, but credit to Sam Tremblay. A hat trick's a hat trick. At the end of the season, it goes down as a goal. But no one remembers how they go in, unless it's the Michigan, which he did last week.
And lost.
Fair play, Sam Tremblay. He's doing what's expected. He's a top player. I'm excited to watch him. We watched him in the first game, but he's obviously only warming up. It's pre-season, and we see him on Saturday, and he had high standards. He had a really good year in the Elite League. He was playing top 6 minutes in the Elite, and he's coming to our league, and he's probably been the main man of that Sheffield team along with Sommer, and yeah, I think he's getting along well there. He's enjoying himself, and yeah, I just think he seems like a very talented. Well, he is. He's scored a Michigan. He's got skill. Apparently, his two-way game is really good. So yeah, I'm really excited to watch him. He's probably the player I'm most excited to watch on Saturday because Thomas isn't playing. So I'm excited to watch.
Oh, flipping heck. But yeah, it's the import trio. They were the standouts at the start of the season for Sheffield, and they've certainly delivered this weekend. Peterborough just a bit inconsistent for them home and away, because obviously we'll talk about it. They won on the Sunday, which was a big win. But they can't quite get it done against the Steel Dogs. But I think we were speaking to Tom Norton, and he said they were in the game. They had a lot of chances. They just couldn't quite get it done. So yeah, a tough one for Peterborough, but a big win for Steel Dogs after quite a tough loss last weekend to Bristol. They definitely needed to win this one, I think, especially with it only being a 1-game weekend for them as well. And then the final game of the weekend, the Saturday, was the Pitbulls versus the Raiders. The Pitbulls, they were in it and then they weren't. The Raiders eventually comfortably won 8-3. Quite dominant after that first period. No Napier, Dan. He might still have a little knock. It was rumoured he might come back this weekend. But the Bristol Pitbulls had Owen Ryder coming because Tyler de la Bouche got a little knock as well. So Owen Ryder from Invicta. It's always going to be a tough one in it against the forward core of Romford.
Yeah, it's not nice to have your goalie out for a game like that. I think Bristol will be quite annoyed with that because that was sort of be a game that they'll be hoping to sort of be competing with. After just beating Sheffield away, going into this game, you'd think they might have a good little chance. You know what I mean? Because obviously Raiders are up there, but they're not like compared to the teams they've played already, like they're not near them. Um, so it could have been like a perfect sort of carry on game for them if they sort of had a full lineup. But yeah, it's a bit annoying for them. But it's yeah, like you say, it's never going to be easy. And hopefully Nappy will be back for them next week, so they can sort of try and get that push back again.
Yeah, they had looking at the stats. I know you don't just go off stats; you watch the game with your eyes. They had 45 shots on Saturday.
I think
They
it
were
was
they were shooting a lot, but they just obviously couldn't create those clear cut chances. We know how
That's a good thing though, because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they've been struggling to. That's what they've been struggling with, is the offensive sort of output and getting those shots off. And yeah, because they, like when I've watched them, obviously they've been really struggling with that. And yeah, sort of seeing them get that amount of shots, obviously that's sort of a good sign. It's sort of going in the right direction. You know what I mean? In the end, they will go in, and that could be the difference of them winning and losing a game. So,
but it's really good for Romford actually. Just like Solway, they had 7 different scorers on that Saturday night. And some third, fourth liners scoring as well. You got Jack Cooper, obviously, Huggett scoring, Ransom, Wilson, Aliff. So an array of goal scorers, which I think is a positive for Romford. Charlie, did you have anything to say on that?
I was going to say, he definitely. It's difficult when you've got a league below goalie playing for you as well. In a decor which is struggling. I don't think Ryder had the greatest performance on the Saturday. He definitely made up for it on the Sunday. He had a really good game, and there wouldn't have been any pressure on him because he's come from the league below as a third choice emergency goalie. But I think I remember seeing something like 18 shots, 6 goals after the second period. So it's difficult when you don't. If you have Napier in that game, you'd hope he can sit on and get a 9-5 in some games to really win you it. But it's difficult for Bristol. I think the result probably flatters Romford a little bit in that game.
Clinical.
If you look at the stats, they were clinical and Bristol really weren't. But yeah, it's they need to win on home. You can't concede 8, 7, and 11 in 3 home games. You have to say it how it is. That they need to have a close home game. You can't get beat quite comfortably every single of your 3 home openers. And even Swindon, they seem like a better away team than they are at home at the moment.
Yeah.
They seem to be putting on shifts. In Swindon, they put on a good game. In Sheffield, they did. But then both Swindon did a good game in their ring. So yeah, hopefully Bristol bounce back because they need a big win for the fans because they're still getting on over 1,000, and you want to keep it that way.
It is tough when you don't have your flipping first choice keeper, though, isn't it? He is the main guy, isn't he, Napier, of your team? I know you got Bailey Harewood, you got Price, Butler, but it starts with the goaltender, and they've brought him in to be the main man. And when he gets a little knock at the start of the season, it's always going to be tough. So we really do hope that he comes back this weekend because they've got a really big game against Telford. Right, Dan, take it away. The best game of the weekend. On the Sunday, the first game, Romford Raiders 5-4 overtime comeback against the Hull Seahawks. Dan, talk us through it. Try sum it up.
Yeah, so obviously it started the game off. I think Raiders did get bullied. Like they got bullied out of the game. Hull really weren't letting them do a lot. They weren't having much offense. I think just the physicality, it wasn't matched. I think the main thing that Romford did though is we know what Hull can do. Like when they start scoring, they normally don't stop.
Yeah.
But what Romford did really good is they weathered it out and sort of made sure it didn't get like to an ugly scoreline, if you know what I mean. Obviously, Ethan James had a really good game. Definitely a standout guy. Yeah, goalie is really solid. They all worked well as a team in the defensive zone. They got into a few penalty issues, both teams. I'll be honest, I'm not going to slate the refs. I'm not going to do that, but they did call a lot of penalties that night. A few weak ones. There were a few, obviously warrant ones, but yeah, that was quite rough. But it was the third period that was really the difference maker. Romford came out with a totally different style. They really started to hem Hull into their zone. They did it sort of at the end of the second period, and then going into the third, they were all over them. And again, like we said before, that ring when they get that one goal, honestly, it could go either way, and you can feel it. I was in the home end, and you can feel it. You can actually feel it sort of buzzing up. And
Yeah.
there were some really nice, well taken goals as well to get back into the game.
You've got a kind of a different perspective of it. Obviously, been in
Yeah,
the away end where we were a couple weeks ago, and then this time you were with the home fans.
yeah, I know. I was getting ready to start shouting, but nah, I'm not going to do that. I was sort of the odd one out. But yeah, it was just it was a really fun game to watch. To be fair, I think Hull they sort of got a bit angry. I think they're a team that when they're scoring, they're really confident, and when it's not going their way, they sort of get a bit. They sort of
Yeah,
try a bit too much, if you know what I mean. Romford really kept the imports out of the game as well. That's a really big
that's
thing
key. Yeah.
against Hull because their imports are dangerous, and that top six is really, really good.
Romford were
Um,
doing it without Shufelt as well. We must add. Shufelt wasn't there, so that's
Oh,
very big for
Torino.
them.
again, that was again it's depth scoring. Like Alif got a goal. Obviously, he played really, really well. Oh yeah, massive shout out to the Moore brothers. They were unreal on the night. They were so good. Seb Moore, he's going to be something special. Worked perfectly with his brother.
Yeah.
It's like they've been playing together.
They have been as well.
It's like they grew up together. But yeah, beautiful overtime winner as well from Seb Moore. He's going to get a load of confidence. Tomlin as well threw his body around. He was the guy that was really throwing his body and sort of showing the physicality from the Raiders team. He was going into all the ball battles, hitting Svek. He was love winding up Svek. But he was just throwing his body around, and yeah, it was really fun to watch.
It's Charlie. Romford and that third period, they just love it. They if they're two goals, as long as it's two, I think it has to be two goals, and they know that they can come back. Maybe even three, but two goals is, as we've all said, is the worst lead to have in hockey. And once they get one, they then get another one, and they got three goals in that third period to get it to 4-4, and it's they just do it at home. I don't know what it is. Well, we
It's the
know what it is. It's
forecheck, man.
momentum.
It's not a huge rink. It's not a huge rink, and their team is young. Like their oldest player on that team's like 30. I can't think of anyone older. So their team's young. They got loads of legs. They love that rink as it is. They know that rink well, and so you've got flipping their top six, which can score goals for fun, forechecking you in the third period, still with the same amount of energy they came out with in the first. Then you got a third line of like Tomlin, Ranson, and Alif, and Ranson just won't stop forechecking you. You've then got Tomlin, who's literally a living cannonball, and then Alif, who's rapid, and then you've casually got like the Moore brothers added in there now when they're not on.
Also,
With Harvey
Harvey
Briggs.
Briggs. Harvey
Yeah.
Briggs played a really good game. All their two-way players played unreal. Like their two-way players literally won them that game. Harvey Briggs obviously opened the scoring as well. But yeah, the two way
Like
players had the perfect game that night.
it's what's frustrating is, and I set how it is because I am for development. The same way if a player's too good for our league, I want them in the elite league. The Moore brothers should be in our league. It's as simple as that. Like they should be in our league. They're good enough to play at this level. Like they would improve that Romford team. I think Dan would happily say if they played week in week out for them.
Yeah,
And so we want to see them players in our league because they're good enough to play. The same way we've got Kieran Brown, who I think I'd love to see in the elite league because he is so good and he deserves to be playing at the highest possible level. But selfishly, obviously, I understand the national one will want him in the same way I wouldn't want Malas to go to the elite league. But yeah, it does show you the value and how much talent there is in the league below because Harvey Briggs, the Moore brothers. I think Luke Smittle played that game as well. Even Matt Smittle starting
no,
against
Luke
Bristol.
Smith wasn't there. Luke Smith wasn't
Like
there.
Luke Smittle wasn't there. Matt
No,
Smittle starting against Bristol and many other two ways in our league. Ollie Hemmingsmere for Bees. There's a lot of talented players in that league below, and they all seem to be coming from Slough. So fair play to Luke Smittle in Slough. He's doing a good job. Yeah, the Romford forecheck's relentless. It is relentless. Does
Yeah.
not stop. They
Still
don't. They
still
don't burn
unbeaten
out.
at home. 3 out of 3 wins at home in the league, and they'll be looking to do it again this weekend. They do. Well, we'll talk about it at the end. The next game on the Sunday was Leeds against the Pitbulls. And the Pitbulls actually went 1-0 up. So fair play to them. They actually gave it a really good go. And as you said, Charlie, Owen Ryder had a much better game this game. He had a lot of shots on him this game. He had 51 shots on him, so he had a much better game on the Sunday. And sometimes it takes playing against a better team for you to kind of to improve yourself a bit more. But the Knights eventually got it done. It was a tough first period, and I gotta say, the Knights scored 4 power play goals. They won 7-2. 5-on-5, the Pitbulls didn't do that bad against the Leeds Knights. The Pitbulls scoring 2 5-on-5 goals. We've seen the goals, Charlie. They were clinical. They were breakaway goals, a typical kind of away performance when you're playing the best team in the league. But yeah, I think it's not. It's sometimes difficult for Leeds. Not difficult, but it's different mindset, isn't it, Dan? Knowing that you are the much better team, but you've still got to go out and beat them, and they did, but it wasn't as high a scoreline as we've seen against the Pitbulls. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah. It's obviously that's the reason so we love the game. Like the mentality of teams you can beat
Yeah.
anyone on your night. We've always said it. You can beat anyone on your night, and I think obviously, yeah, going to Leeds is always going to be tough. They're obviously an unreal team, and their home rink is really tough to go to. But I mean, Bristol wouldn't have gone into that game thinking we're going to lose. Like they wouldn't have gone into it like that, and that's what I mean. When they got that one goal, like, I'm sure a few of the Leeds fans were probably like they were probably a bit nervous, like because you can get momentum from that, and like I think obviously I'm not sure when Leeds scored, but I'm sure Leeds probably cancelled out quite quick. But
No,
it's
no.
just
It took Leeds till the last couple minutes of the first period. Like
there we go.
Bristol 5-on-5 were decent. They keep giving away some penalties, and I know it's tough when you're defending more than you're attacking, and you're going to give penalties away. But it's cost them quite a bit this season. The penalties.
Yeah, it has cost them a lot, and yeah, I think like you say, when you're defending a lot, desperate plays, obviously diving for pucks, getting tired, you sort
Yeah.
of lazy plays and stuff like that. It does all add up. But every game's got to be a learning curve for Bristol, and
Oh yeah.
one game they're just going to go all in, and they're going to be like, right, we need to work on this, we need to work on this, we need to work on this, and all of a sudden it's all going to come together, and then that one game is just going to be perfect, and then they've got to build from that again. That's the whole point of a rebuild is you've got to build from your positive performances, and it will come for Bristol, but yeah, they just need to find
Well,
that way to do it.
it's got to be said, they've played Leeds twice, Hull twice, Sheffield away, which they won, and then they obviously lost against the Raiders. They've still got to
be
play
fair,
quite a few of the teams
I would have
which
bet
are
them
at
to
the
get
lower
2
end.
points out of that. I would have betted 2 points would be good out of that.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah, it's easy to. The problem is it's the manner of how many goals they're conceding.
Yeah, that's
you look
true.
at their
Yeah.
goal difference, and they've won a game at 6, but they're minus 30. You can't be minus 30 from 6 games, and you've won one of them. Even Telford, I think, are minus 20, and they've lost all 6.
But then also, and I know he conceded a lot in the first game, but they've had and he got pulled in the second game, but they've had 4 games without Napier as well, and they do need him back to try and keep him in the games, and they're gonna have some games this season against what you'd say is the easier opposition, which I think they will give them a shout, but they do need to cut out this weekend's big thing. They do need to cut out some of these penalties. Because 5-on-5, I actually don't think they're a terrible team. I think they've shown this season 5-on-5 they can compete. The Lightning complete the 4-point weekend. I do think 7-3 flatters a bit. I watched the highlights. The Lightning had 3 goals in the last 3 minutes. It was 4-3 at one point. Solway got it to 4-3 with about 10 minutes to go. So not 10 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go. Again, I think Solway, Dan, probably put everything into it on that Saturday night, and it's probably the hardest place to go to on Sunday, away in Milton Keynes, where they haven't lost in the league since Hull at the start of last season.
Yeah, it's not an easy place to go, like you say. But again, like you said, they got it to 4-3. That's still really positive. The fact that they managed to get back in that game, because MK is another team in their own rink that can sort of run away with games, and it seems to be a bit of a thing this season. I've been reading like stuff on Twitter and stuff like that. It seems like MK haven't really been the best at shutting off those games.
Yeah.
And apparently it seems to be something that seems to be happening quite a lot, and against good teams that will hurt. But yeah, the fact that Solway managed to get that obviously back in 4-3, and it seems like in the last few minutes they obviously went all out and just went for that last goal, and obviously it opened up a lot of gaps at the back and caused MK to get those 3 goals. But that's still a positive road game for us Solway, and the fact that they had such a big win on a Saturday as well, that's not a bad weekend for them at all.
Dan, Gardiner's goal streak unfortunately comes to an end. He didn't score on the Sunday night. It was a good run though. He did get a point, but the goal streak ends. He's still top goal scorer of the league, but his goal streak has come to an end. No, on a real though,
yeah, just send him home.
on a real,
That's not good
Solway
enough.
weren't expected to win that game, to be fair, and I think they would have taken 2 points at the start of the weekend. They got a really good win against the Telford Tigers. Ross Venus again getting 2 goals. That's why he was our player of the week this week. And they had some depth scoring as well. Grinnell Park scored a goal as well. So yeah, comfortable 4-point weekend for the Lightning. I think that's what we expected. Wildcats did it last weekend against the same teams. Lightning have done it. So it shows it's going to be tough at the top. It's going to be very close. On to our game, Charlie. The Phantoms against the Wildcats. And we just fell short. 4-3 to the Phantoms in the end. Quite a weird game. Obviously, we went 2-0 up in the first period. Something that is probably going to get checked by Dops. Literally 30 seconds into the game, Ferrara does quite a tough hit on Pluzzi. Pluzzi's face went straight into the boards. And he got a 5-minute. I don't know if, Dan, have you seen a 5-minute penalty where they don't get sent off in the game? I don't know if I've seen it before.
Boarding against Swindon Wildcats at Bees.
That was only 2 minutes though, wasn't it? Or was that 5?
That was 5-minute boarding.
Oh yeah, they killed it, didn't they? They killed it. Yeah. He just scared off what nothing happened.
But I've seen it before.
It is weird, but if I really did, we were saying this earlier, Charlie. If Dops review this and say that it is a game penalty and he gets some sort of ban, I don't know if Peterborough win that game without Ferrara, because he had a good game on Sunday. He is the orchestrator of their power play and that top line. But as we said, we were 2-0 up in that first period. The second period, again, we hate moaning at refs because we're not actually saying he was biased to Peterborough or biased to Swindon. Hewitt just gave too many penalties, and it just did not let the game flow whatsoever. We listened back to the highlights or watched the highlights of the Peterborough game, and even the commentators were saying, that's not a penalty for both teams. And it just slowed the game down. It did work in Peterborough's favour because they did get 2 big power play goals. And yeah, Peterborough, they won on the night. We're not blaming it on the refs at all. They deserved to win on the night. I thought Leving was very good at closing the game out in that third period. But I know you wanted to speak a bit on it, Charlie, because it is frustrating.
Hewitt was rubbish. I understand how it is. Just consistency, man. It was obvious to see. I think Chris Jones was defending Kai Naston on a 1v1, and he shoved him and he gave an instant penalty. Then you got Aaron now and Tom Norton. Aaron's going down 1v1 against Tom Norton. Tom Norton's holding them stuff. I don't think the Tom Norton one was a penalty. But if that Kydnaston one is a penalty, then the Tom Norton one has to be a penalty. Because basically, if Peterborough go on a one-on-one and someone touches the player, it's a penalty. If Swindon do it, it's not a penalty. Holton was fine. Yeah. Holton wasn't the problem that game. It ruined the whole game. I haven't moaned about refs all this season. The performance there just wasn't good enough. And I do name the ref because I don't think it was. I think it was clear to see. I think you could tell by the way the game went. And it was just so frustrating because Peterborough played well. They played a good game. I thought Peterborough deserved the win in the end. I thought Swindon were tired and we burnt out. And in the third period, we couldn't really string a pass together. But yeah, it's frustrating to have to finish that game off and look at it and just be like, the referees gave power plays which just were clearly not power plays. The one Ebris shoves the player and his hand goes straight up. There's
2 things which bugs me, and I know we're ranting a bit. We've actually done a lot of defending of referees on our podcast, but we will call it out if we don't think it was a great performance. And we're not saying, I just want to reiterate, we're not saying that's why Peterborough won, but the 2 things which bug me, one is when the referee, which is right there, doesn't call the penalty, but the one all the way over there does. And I know there's different instances on it with hits and stuff, but I don't know
He
why
wasn't
he's been
here.
like that.
They were like holdings or slashings. And the other referees stood there close. But, I'm going to move on.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
we'll move on.
I'll lose it. But I thought Peterborough really good. Lackinen, it was our first time watching Peterborough. Hugh's really quick. He's a dog. He's a good power forward. Like, he plays a dog style of hockey. He reminds me of like a import version of Nathan Salem, who was also very good on the night. He was my man of the match. Yeah, and then Lackinen, he doesn't miss a pass. He doesn't look 40 whatever, by the way. He looks younger. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't look like he blows in games like I thought he would. Considering they had a tough game in Sheffield the night before. Peterborough's decor was really good. Leving had a bit of a shaky first two periods, in my opinion, but the third period, he completely...
Really good.
Because he was giving away a lot of rebounds in the first and second, but in the third period, it was like, nope, no rebounds anymore. We're catching everything. He showed his class. Kai Naston, shout out to him. Really looks like he's settling in the National League, and he's not the tallest fella. He's a very small little lad, but he holds his own in this league. But yeah, Peterborough really good. Nathan Salem put on a vintage Nathan Salem performance, just in front of the goalie, ratting it out. Gretton did a good job. He wound up our imports, and that's what his job is.
I think the thing I'll take from that game is you could tell we were quite tired, a bit leggy in that third period. Obviously, players had played a bit more than they would if Tom Ash was in the lineup. I know it's cliche. We did miss Tom Ash quite a bit on the Sunday. We did need him, that extra pair of legs. But I'm not too disappointed. It's a tough place to go to, Peterborough. And if you'd have probably offered us 2 points at the start of this weekend against Leeds and Peterborough, you probably would have taken it. So, yeah, it's a big game for us on Saturday, though, against Sheffield, which we will get into. And then the final game of the weekend, what a win for the Berkshire Bees. I forgot to mention, actually, in their game against Milton Keynes, they only had 14 skaters, obviously plus the goalie. Again, going to Telford with just 14 skaters, not even having 3 lines worth of players. And they pull out a massive 6-3 win, Dan. Max Wright, it starts with your goalie. He made 40 saves on the night. Sounds like he had a really good game, a 9-3 save percentage. But Mr. Marcel Ballas, Dan, 4 goals. 4 goals, 5 points. Absolute beast. And yeah, he's just helped Bees get what is a huge 2 points on the road, whilst they were short.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, when you're in those situations, you look at your imports, and I mean, he showed it again. He loves it at Bees. I should have worn the t-shirt tonight. I should have got that on for the little buddy celebration. But I'm sure he banged that out a few times. But yeah, I think on the road as well. I think they really took advantage of a struggling Telford team.
Yeah.
It's never easy to go in with that many skaters as well. But the big players really stepped up when they needed to, and I think they really came together as a team in that game and really got that win and got it on the road as well.
5-on-5 goals. One of them was an empty net and a short-handed goal. That's 3 short-handed goals in one weekend. That is not good from a Telford perspective. And it seems like 5-on-5, they are struggling quite a bit. They've got some really good players. They've got one of the best coaches in the league. We've said that. But it's just not quite clicking at the moment, Charlie. And sometimes you just don't know what it is. It's just not quite clicking. And then players get a bit stressed. You get a bit more nervous on the puck going into games, into your shifts. You don't want to make a mistake. They may overthink it a bit. But this weekend, they've got a huge game against Bristol. They have to win that game. They cannot lose that game, can they?
No. Wow, they could, but
they can't.
In terms of pay-per-view, they can't. They're just not confident. Hockey is a confidence game, man. I think Tom Watkins was saying in the interview, you grip your stick harder. You make silly plays which you'd never normally make. You try play safe, but by trying to play safe, you play unsafe. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. But just to name it, I'm not individually attacking players, but players are struggling there. Finn Howes is on 2 points in 5 games without a goal. He's an unbelievable talent, and we know the ability he has. Adam Hardin's on 1 point in 5 games, and we know he can do a lot more than that. Their new import, Zachary Yokohama's on 2 points in 5 games. We know on paper he should be doing better than that in that sense. And so they've got some players who I think are still waiting to have that breakout, that moment in this season. And I think it should be a case of once these top end players, the Adam Hardins and the Finn House find the back of the net a couple of times, I think suddenly you'll see Finn House get back to his 80-point player. But we're just waiting on him to get the confidence back. It's not always easy when the pressure's on you. They'll feel it from the fans. The fans aren't going to be happy at times. They want to win Telford. They won 2 leagues in 2 seasons not too long ago. But I think Telford will get it back. They've got one of the best coaches in the league to get them back. They've got Jason Silverthorne as the assistant coach who has got so much experience in the game. And I really do hope Telford can get the win this weekend, because I love that. I do like that club. I've had some good memories there, and you want the good playoff battle as well. You want them to be in the playoff race. Do you know what I mean? You want the playoff battle to go till the end of the year.
Yeah, they are struggling on D. Obviously, Dan Rose is still out. They had to bring back Corey Goodison, which we mentioned last week. So they are struggling a bit on D, but I'm sure that will get sorted out. A shout out, actually, Noah Karanen. Sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. I probably have. But we said that he'd probably have to step up this season to the Telford. I know he's on a 2-way or 3-way between the 3 leagues. But he has certainly stepped up. Charlie, I think you said, did he have like three points in 5
3
games? 3
points in four games.
4 games, really, which is quite good.
Playing with Rose Mitchell-King, I believe.
Yeah,
they're good deep pair, and yeah, very good young talent. And another one, Tom Watkins, will just take to the next level.
So it's good experience for him. But that wrapped up week 3 of the NIHL, and we head into a new month as well, the month of October. And the games keep coming thick and fast, and it is a massive weekend for Telford, and we'll start off with it because they've got Romford in Romford, so it's a tough one. But if you're going to gain a bit of momentum, if you're going to try and get some confidence going through that team,
Winnable.
Dan, that is a game which they can try and win.
Yeah, 100% there. Yeah, it's not an easy place to go, and Romford are really high in confidence at home at the minute because of obviously their past games that they've had there. But Telford just need to find something from somewhere. Like, it doesn't matter who they play now; they just need to find that sort of spark in the team. And yeah, like you say, this weekend is a perfect weekend for them to do that because they can do it. They can do it against this team. The team that they've got on paper should not be struggling against these teams that they're playing this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how they do it, and it'll be interesting to see what sort of mindset they go into this game with, because it will be important for them.
Yeah, Romford and Bristol, they need to get minimum 2 points from that, I think. They just need a win. They just need a win to get themselves on the board, lift themselves off the bottom, and then try and get a bit of momentum and confidence running through. The Wildcats have one more game, just one game this weekend at home against the Steel Dogs. We are without Tom Ash again. This is the final game which he's out for. But as Charlie said, we've been really strong at home. And we'll be looking to try and get that win. It is a cup game as well, so that's an important game. The Bees have got the Knights, not an easy task, but again, the Knights have got to show it. They've Swindon. But Swindon and MK have gone on one there now, so the Knights need to go and do the same if they want to be going for that title. And then the Pitbulls at home against Peterborough. If Napier is back, that is going to be a battle of the import netties, which should be a good little fun battle. And then probably the game of the weekend, I'm going to say it's the game of the weekend. Milton Keynes versus the Hull Seahawks, the last team to have beaten Milton Keynes in the league. Their last actually meeting between each other, MK did win in the cup against them. But Dan, they did it last year. The Seahawks, they could do it again, can't they?
Oh yeah, 100%. I actually think they might do it. I've got a feeling they're going to do it. I'm going to put out there now. I'm going to put out there early. I reckon Hull are going to do it.
I agree.
I reckon they're going to be angered. They're going to be so angered from Romford. And they're going to be like, right, we need to take our anger out on this team. And they're going to go mental in MK and they're going to win.
I think they'll beat MK and MK.
Wow.
I think Hull are
they're a force.
Games could be mental.
They're a scary force.
I don't think MK have quite clicked into first gear from speaking to their fans yet at home. Like
first
you said,
gear? Do you mean like 3 or 4 gears?
They're
They've
not
got
neutral,
first gear
mate.
because they've been winning games.
Maybe in America
They're
they
moving.
go 6-1. I don't know, but I don't know, they do.
Charlie's waffling.
But, no, I think if MK can click into sixth gear, there we go.
There we go.
There we go.
I think MK will win it.
You just said Hull will probably win it. Well, I'm gonna say one and not two. I think MK will do it. I think they're slowly actually gaining momentum. That 4-point weekend's big last season.
Yeah.
So I think
Hull 7-0.
Right.
Joking, by the way.
Sunday.
7 goals. I'm gonna go.
I'm in one of them moods. You know what I mean?
Sunday. Steel Dogs versus Bees. I think that'll be quite a decent little game. Steel Dogs will be looking to get. Shut up, man. And then Leeds Knights against Solway. Solway will be looking for revenge. And then another corker, Peterborough against Milton Keynes, the derby, the battle. Milton Keynes would have just had a really tough game against Hull. They'll have to go and play the Phantoms. And I know the Phantoms players are up for that one. It's always a spicy game. And then another spicy game. We got the rematch, and Matty Davies has created a bit of rivalry on Twitter, which I love. The whole Seahawks are hosting the Raiders this time. The Raiders have to come to them. And let me just get it up now quickly. Matty tweeted, "Be a good time to show a few people what a real tough place to play at is like." I love that. The league needs a bit of rivalry. It needs a little bit of spice to it. And I like that he's done that. He's put that out there. He knows he's got a really good team. He knows they're good at home.
I'm going to put a nice prediction out there.
Oh, here we go.
Hull are going to beat Milton Keynes in Milton Keynes, but Raiders are going to beat Hull on Sunday with an Aidan Wilson game-winning goal.
Mate, if he does that, Selly would be nuts. We know what he's like. But yeah, that is a corker of a game. And then the final game is the Tigers against the Pitbulls. As we mentioned, that's a huge game for Telford. So no game for Swindon on the Sunday, but we are going to watch an Elite League game. We don't hate the Elite League because we do go and watch the games, but we will be supporting the NIHL boys anyway. I will be.
No, I'm supporting the refs. Come on, the referees.
But yeah, we were watching Guildford against Cardiff Devils in Guildford. It's been a long time since we've been to the Spectrum. Yeah, we'll probably be in the away end standing. So that should be fun. We'll get a couple pictures there. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything wrapped up. I forgot to intro the Shaun Miller interview, but I'll put that in probably before we go into all the games. But we hope you've enjoyed this episode. We're going to try and get some more players on for interviews as well. Yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Go on, Charlie.
To finish up, if there's any hockey players out there who want to play me, Dan, and Jack on World of Chow, NHL 25, bring it on.
Yeah,
all
message
fans,
us.
all fans as well.
All fans, yeah.
NIHL fans, Elite League fans, whoever's listening. If you got NHL,
I do
you might lose, but it's fine.
You probably got a chance because it's the first time I've ever played NHL. So Dan and Charlie trying to carry me here.
Jack, like we were playing with me and Dan. Dan's like NHL level player. I'm probably like I don't know, Sweden League. And then Jack's the national 2.
Oh, no. On the NHL 2. Dan, do you want to quickly as well? It's just popped into my head. Who did you play and beat on Chell 24?
Yeah, if they're listening, Ethan James and Jack Cooper. Good game, lads. I think it was like 7-0, and they actually left as well, which is even more embarrassing. But yeah, it was a good little reverse hit I did on you, Cooper, as well. Don't try and throw the body.
Yeah, they're the ones on the ice, and we're the ones chirping them from playing NHL.
I'm never going to get on the ice with them, am I? So we're the
ones literally paying to watch them play ice hockey. But we've got one way to chirp them. But yeah, if there's any, that's a good point actually, Charlie. If there's any players who are listening or fans who are listening,
we can stream it on Twitch or something. We can get something going.
Yeah, we'll create a video out of it. 3-on-3 NHL 25. Get in touch and we'll play you. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed this episode.
James, Jack,
yeah. If you want a rematch, James,
and we've got a national 2 player to help now.
TJ Anderson also can't play, but that's too easy.
Sean Miller said that he's been playing a bit of Xbox as well. So
we'll beat him as well. We'll beat anyone.
We'll just
We
beat
can
the whole
anyone,
Raiders
100%.
team.
Right, you're
Right,
waffling,
yeah.
guys.
Yeah, right.
We don't
Sorry,
like
we're
waffle on
waffling
this
now.
podcast.
But yeah, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week after, these spicy fixtures on the weekend. Peace.
Peace.